Hello, introduce.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum.
So you're the anchor today. Huh. So
Okay, what should I ask the
the
question
recording is
first?
on. The recording is on. It's all yours.
Okay, so how are you doing, Abdullah? Introduce yourself. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Yes,
How are you doing, Abdullah?
I'm doing well, and today we
So,
had the conclusion of the series between the West Indies and England, the ODI series. It finished at 2-2, and
that's pretty good.
we're also through the PSL. 22 matches have been played, 3 legs have been completed, and now we're on to Abu Dhabi and Pakistan for the remainder of the tournament.
Yeah, again.
And tomorrow we have the first of 5 ODIs between South Africa and Sri Lanka. Both both teams having their final opportunities to get their combinations right and to try out any things they need to do before that all-important World Cup event in a few months' time in England. So
Yeah,
plenty going on in the cricketing world, and today we had the first of 5 ODIs between India and Australia. Um,
in,
and the home side coming out on top in that one. So plenty going on in the cricketing world, and of course we have Bangladesh currently in New Zealand as well, and doing a three
yeah,
test match here. So predominantly the focus in the cricketing world is on the ODI format ahead of a very important competition in 2 months' time.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so we're only about 90 odd days away from the opening match of the tournament between England and South Africa at the Oval.
yeah, it should be a good tournament.
As has been well documented, England are overwhelming favourites to win the tournament, along with India as the two standout teams, head and shoulders above everyone else. But a little bit of a setback for England in their preparations for that tournament, and
Yeah,
in their run up to that tournament, they've tied a series against a West Indies team languishing in the rankings. It's 2-2. The series is finished, and for such a for a team as highly rated as England, and for a team that is built up as pre-tournament favourites like England, uh, do you think it's a setback to tie a series in the West Indies 2-2 on the back of losing the Test series?
yeah, it is a pretty shocking, and I believe that there was a game. I think in the second game, I never follow like ball for ball this series, but I believe that second game was the one where England were on the verge of victory and they could have won. And I also discussed with you previously. I think that their batting lineup is fragile, and as we said, that they look to attack a bit too much. And on any of their bad day, could be on the semi-final that they could get exposed. And we saw Michael Vaughan's tweet as well.
So on a good day, England can get 450, but on a bad day, they can be rolled over for 150. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it could happen. There's fragility,
And
if you know.
that is because of the bold attacking way they play. You feel that they're vulnerable to a collapse.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, that is also a big factor. Their bowling is pretty hit away as well.
Yes, if you as I've discussed previously, it's not necessarily the gun batting lineups that win you ODI tournaments and the World Cups.
Yeah,
In particular, it's teams usually which with the strongest bowling attacks that emerge as the winners, more so than having a powerful,
yeah.
strong, deep batting lineup. It's the bowling that really wins tournament cricket.
Pakistan's Champions Trophy win being a big example.
Yes. That it's throughout the history of the tournament, if you look, it's been good bowling sides that have won World Cup cricket. If you look at the last World Cup, the Australian attack, Mitchell Starc, Mitchell Johnson.
Yeah,
They had Pat Cummins, Josh Hazelwood. They had a serious pace attack that won that tournament. James Faulkner,
yes,
who was man of the match in the final.
yeah,
And previously, when India won it in 2011, they had a very good bowling attack as well. Zahir Khan, Harbhajan Singh, players who've taken lots of wickets in Test cricket.
yeah.
Experienced campaigners with ball in hand with a lot of class and quality. And if you look in also at Australia, when they won 3 consecutive World Cups, 99, 2003, and 2007, the bowlers they had, Shane Warne as a spinner, or Brad Hogg in '03 and '07, and Glenn McGrath, Brett Lee, serious bowlers.
Yeah,
And let's go to 92, Wasim Akram for Pakistan, Mushtaq Ahmed, Aqib Javed, 96, Muralitharan, Chaminda Vas, um, the West Indies in the early days, Michael Holding, Joel Garner, you know, so um, it's the bowlers that have won tournaments, the teams with big names in their bowling attacks that have won tournaments, such as the World Cup.
that's true.
And so I think it's more important and more beneficial to have a good bowling side than a better batting team. It's
Yeah,
easier
the
to,
bowling we have seen that has conceded runs regularly, and I believe that they're a team
even if you
completely
have a
different.
vulnerable, even if you have a vulnerable batting lineup but have a strong bowling attack, you can be competitive and successful in tournament cricket, and even
Yeah,
be victorious in tournament cricket,
yeah,
as Pakistan showed in the last major world event.
yeah. Even I also think that England batting lineup is one-dimensional. I think on a good bowling surface like a Champions Trophy semi, slow, low, basically they could tend to struggle. They can get exposed. Even like today, I heard that the pitch was pretty spicy. Shane Thomas scored a fifer.
That is the worry with England in these one-off games when there is no tomorrow, in these knockout encounters. Can they play with the
Yeah,
same freedom, or can they play in the same bold, attacking, adventurous manner they like to play?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
they
That's
need to be
that's
more
the time.
smart. They need to be more adaptable um,
Yeah.
in these sorts of situations. Uh,
Mhm.
it's because generally we see lower scoring games in the knockout matches. You don't need a 330 or 370. In the knockout games, when there is no tomorrow, it's teams tend to be more conservative. And England, the style of play they have, it's useful and it's easier to implement in a 5 match or a 7 match bilateral series, or in a pool stage of a tournament. But
Yeah.
when push comes to shove in knockout cricket, when there is no tomorrow, when it all counts on the day, it's harder to implement that bold attacking strategy. And can England adapt when
Yeah.
you're up against some quality with the ball, or a bit more spiciness in the pitch? Can they adapt
Yeah.
and show a different side to their game um, when they are when there's more pressure with the bat?
Yeah, they basically succumb. And I remember Dr. Dewan saying one thing. I remember that people there lack the mental strength, and the suicide rate in England is pretty high. That's also one factor, that they don't have that ability to handle the pressure, mental pressure, basically. Particularly, in the semi-final. And you agree with you, basically, that even in semis or in the knockout stages, basically, it's the team who's better on the day wins. There's no rankings, and yeah, even 340 in a big game becomes pretty tough. And you're right, that is a concern with England. Because all-rounders you can't get that consistency with them, basically. You need regular batsmen getting starts.
And England, in the recent history in knockout games, they haven't been able to
Yeah,
get over the line. The 2016 World T20 final, they were in a dominant
yeah,
position, well, in a reasonably dominant position, unable to close out that last over. And in
yeah,
2017, in the Champions Trophy semi final, they were overwhelming favourites to progress to the final, but they came unstuck against Pakistan. And even in the last World Cup, you've got to remember that Owen Morgan was captain of the team in the last World Cup as well, when they failed to make the last eight. They failed to make the quarterfinals. And
yeah,
he was also captain of that campaign.
yeah,
And in tournament cricket, England haven't done that well. Even in the Trans Tasman 2020 Tri Series, February last year, between Australia, New Zealand, England, England didn't make it through to the final. So they've done well in bilateral ODI cricket, but in tournament cricket, whether it's 20 overs or 50 overs, they haven't been able to get over the line. And these one-off encounters, these knockout matches, they haven't quite been at the races. They lost an ODI to Scotland, a one-off game. These type of games that you need to win a World Cup, That's the concern with England, particularly uh, on pitches which makes their batsmen have to work harder and
Hmm.
not play their natural expansive game. Uh,
Yeah,
that's an
yeah, that's
area
a
of
big factor
concern for
because
them.
yeah, yeah, because not every pitch you can go and start bashing from ball one. You do need to look to get set. Basically, her pitch, basically the ball will not come out of the bat at the start. Yeah, that explosive nature could cost them. They might win through the good games, but one bad game and they're out. That's the thing in the
Yes,
semis.
you would expect them to make the last four because they can play in that expansive, adventurous manner in the
Yeah,
group stages when they don't need to win every single game. They can get away
yeah,
with a
of
loss
course.
here and there. But when it's a
Yeah,
semi-final and final, you know, you can have a horror 15 minutes, 15 to I beg your pardon, half an hour. You can have a horror half an hour. You can collapse. You can self-destruct, and that's the end of your World Cup dreams.
yeah,
And that's the concern with England. They may come up against some quality. They may come up against a tough pitch in a knockout encounter,
yeah,
and they're unable to adapt and be a bit more smart in how they go about proceedings.
yeah. Because you basically get tested in knockout. Basically, your real character, your real strength. Uh, Real big match players are the ones who perform the knockout games. Basically, even similarly with India in the past, they have succumbed to pressure in the knockout game. Basically, you don't tend to have a bad day. But what I believe that England will also be hoping is that they have one bad game probably in the earlier stages and not towards the semi-final. But yeah, we have seen them throughout
And
the
even
recent one. They
yeah,
have one bad game always. They have one bad game or two bad games. One bad game at least. And
and as I mentioned, that England they perhaps need to tone down expectations ahead of the World Cup because they haven't made it to the semi-final since 1992. So here they're not only trying to get to the semi-finals, but then win a semi-final and a final. None of their players have ever played a World Cup semi-final before. So you know, it's going to be an achievement for them just to get to the semi-finals in the first place, uh, given their atrocious World Cup record in the last six editions in 96, 99, 03, 07, 11, and 15, where they were unable to make the semi finals. And although there hasn't been a World Cup in England since 1999, there have been three Champions Trophies in 2004, 2013, and 2017. And England had
yeah.
strong sides in all of them, but they were unable to finish the job in the knockout stages, losing the final from a winning position in 2004 and 2013, and then coming unstuck in that semi-final at Cardiff that we alluded to in 2017.
I believe maybe also that semi-final loss maybe because they were too overconfident as well that they don't expect Pakistan to do that well. That could also be a factor of loss, I believe.
Seeing Sandeep Lamachani weave his magic in the Pakistan Super League and in the Big Bash before that, and in the Bangladesh Premier League, it's such a shame that we
Yeah,
won't see a star quality, a young player of such promise and potential at the World Cup this year, with it only being a 10-team
yeah.
event.
Nepal is not playing in the World Cup. They're not qualified, I believe.
So it's a shame that we won't see a talent like that on the big stage.
But also, it's something Nepal have their own hero. It's something privileged because from such a small country, they finally found a world quality spinner. And Amr Suhail said that I believe that he said that in limit overs he's the best leg spinner in the power plays. Sandeep Lameshani. He's really pretty good. And yeah, it's sad that we couldn't see him in World Cup. I think,
And
considering the wickets in England are good for batting, I don't think spinners might dominate that. I believe, considering knowing the conditions. I
uh,
don't think
the
Rajasthan
con-
spinners also will be that lethal.
the conditions are so weather dependent in England. Depends on the weather.
Yeah.
There's so many factors that
If
you got to
one
take
thing,
into
okay, one
consideration.
point, if the conditions are like Cardiff, that is where the spinners could create some damage. Conditions like slow, dry pitches, reverse swing as well.
The West Indies are a force to watch out for at the World Cup
Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt.
because we know they play well in tournament cricket.
Yeah,
We've seen them win two World T20 titles recently, 2012 and 2016.
Yes.
And for from a Pakistan point of view, West Indies have always had the better of Pakistan in tournament cricket. They beat us in
Yes.
the 2013 Champions Trophy, they beat us in the 2014 World T20, and they beat us in the 2015 World Cup.
Yes.
Generally, the teams that Safraz has played against, the West Indies teams Safraz is captain against, they've been a shadow of the West Indies team at full strength.
Yeah, that was not a full strength team. This
Uh,
is a good team. They're pretty good players. Chris Gale, Shimron Hetmeyer, Shai Hope, Oshan Thomas. They can definitely be a pretty dark horse, and I believe they could give Pakistan a tough time. Maybe their bowling could be hit away, but their batting has a lot of firepower. And they even almost chased, man, they almost managed to chase 418 against England.
No, I think we will see their bowling beefed up ahead of that tournament.
But
Kemar Roach,
one fact,
Gabriel, and Jerome Taylor. I think bowlers of that quality will be back in contention.
yeah,
Bowlers with genuine pace.
I believe it's been a while since Kemar Roach last played for the West Indies.
He played
If
in
I'm
the
not
Test
wrong.
series. He was instrumental in West Indies winning.
Yeah, he did. He in the Test series. I mean, I'm not. I'm talking about the one days.
No, he played in the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, that's probably a long time ago. That's a
No,
year
no,
ago, I
but
believe.
he's still in the frame for the big tournament. For the big tournament.
Yeah, Jerome Taylor was a pretty good fast bowler, and Chris Gale coming in form will definitely be a big danger for the teams. Big fear. But one question coming to Pakistan, Chris Gale has a pretty poor record against Pakistan. I think he only have just 14.
Yes, and not just against Pakistan in international cricket, but we've seen him struggle against Pakistan bowlers in the PSL. I think their style of bowling,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they bowled very well at
I
him.
think West Indies players they struggle. I think against spin bowling. I think more than Hafiz could trouble Gale. I believe Hafiz especially is good against lefties. And you
Yes,
said
but
Junaid
I'm
Khan as
not
well.
quite sure Hafiz is quite at his best with the ball after all these action issues that he's had.
I think Pakistan might get him early because I think Pakistan has a good bowling attack. We have Shaheen Afridi. Shaheen
Yeah,
Afridi and Junaid Khan at the top could be big, give Gale a bit of a problem because Gale has never played Shaheen Afridi before as well.
but he's due,
And we've
and
seen that Shaheen has done really well in recent for Pakistan and ODI cricket. And in England, he could be good with the balls when conditions are suited.
no doubt Gale is the most prized wicket in the side, but they have a lot of other batsmen like of quality, such as Shai Hope, Darren
Hetma,
Bravo, Shimron Hetmeyer. Um, Evan Lewis will come back into contention.
he did well again. He scored 100 against 100, or he scored runs against Pakistan. I remember one game, that
Yes.
T20 which they won.
So you've got lots of quality in their batting lineup. You
Now
know,
they're a good team, no doubt. Jason Holder himself,
Jason Mohammed has disappeared, isn't he?
he played against Pakistan in the T20 series.
And he was
He
captain of
was a
that West
T20
Indies
player
team.
though. Wasn't a T20 player though.
Yes. I think Marlon Samuels, he's not in the frame anymore.
Yeah. Marlon was instrumental in West Indies T20 World Cup win.
But he's not in the frame anymore, is he? As far as the 50 over
Yeah.
format is concerned.
He played in the qualifiers, I believe.
Yes,
Last.
and I remember seeing him in the team of the tournament in that qualifiers.
Yeah.
But I think
Marlon Samuel's famous for that statement after the World Cup final, T20 finals as well.
against Shane Warne.
Yeah. And imagine Darren Sammy still being the captain. Oof.
No, I think you can't really afford a captain who's with that level of fitness for 50
Yeah,
over
West
format.
Indies, now Holder's been doing pretty well. Holder is definitely, Test cricket, he's the best all-rounder at this stage.
But Darren Sammy, of course, he's only a T20 player now, and more so on the franchise circuit.
Darren
But
Sammy was a pretty good leader though.
West
Keeps the team
Indies,
pretty chill.
West Indies, one area perhaps they're not as quite as strong as the other teams is their spin bowling options. Devindra Bishu and Ashley Nurse. Devindra Bishu has been very hittable.
They need to get Sunil Narayan back maybe. They had Batri as well.
Badri's never played an ODI.
Yeah, they can get Sunil Narayan back and maybe.
But Ashley Nurse, I rate him as a cricketer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Ashley Nurse, then they have, I believe, rather than spin, they need paces, so they have Cottrell, right? Cottrell,
Coltrane,
then they
yes,
had
yes.
O'Shane, Thomas,
He's a
Holder,
the military man who does the
Bradford.
military salute
Yeah,
after he takes the wickets. After he takes a wicket, the left arm you're talking about,
yeah.
Cottrell, yeah. Yes, it's always been a
Holder,
theme
O'Shane,
in
Thomas, the pretty good talent himself.
it's always been a theme
Bolton,
in successful World Cup teams, left armers. Uh, le- all successful World Cup winning teams generally have had left armers. Stark, Johnson, Faulkner 4 years ago. Before that, Ashish Nira, Zahir Khan, Nathan Bracken before that. Chaminda Vas before that. Wasim Akram before that. Gary, left armers have been a key part of successful World Cup winning teams.
yeah,
The left arm angle in one day cricket just gives the bowling attack an extra dimension, particularly if they have pace.
yeah.
Um, so West Indies, one to watch out for. They haven't made the semi-finals of a World Cup since
They have
1996.
they reached the quarterfinals last time. And seriously, this win against England, this series drawn, is more like a victory for them because they weren't the underdogs in this series. Evidently, if they challenged England, they could challenge the big teams.
And
They didn't give India time.
West Indies have won a world title in England not that long ago. We talk about Pakistan winning the Champions Trophy in England, but West Indies also won the Champions Trophy in England, but back
Well,
in
well,
2004. There are one or two survivors from that team, Chris Gale being one of them.
yeah,
Of course, West Indies didn't play in the 2017 edition, but the last time they played a world tournament, the World
yeah,
T20, they won it, and of course they played well in the World Cup qualifiers to get through. In fact,
yeah,
they nearly didn't make it to the World Cup. In the World Cup qualifiers, they had a close game with Scotland, and
yeah,
rain and a few LBW decisions went in their way, and they managed to get through in that important encounter. So they
yeah,
had to go through the long way to get to the World Cup, but playing the qualifiers, I think, can be a blessing in disguise for them. It's better than playing
actually,
bilateral cricket. They're
actually,
playing
it's
in the
better for
tournament
Super
format,
Cricket.
tournament environment, playing against different teams on different grounds, playing in must-win games. I think it would have been good preparation for them. It would have been a blessing in disguise. So indirectly, having to go through the qualifiers, I think it's made them a stronger team and a stronger unit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. And they have improved and definitely what I'm saying basically that yeah, it's embarrassing I believe for world cricket that West Indies, a team who used to be top side in the world, having to play through the quarterfinals, almost being crashed out and not even playing Champions League. It was basically not good for world cricket in general as well. But now it's pretty good to see them progressing, and I'm happy to even see Sri Lanka doing well in Test
Yes.
matches. That's a good thing. That these teams, West Indies, Sri Lanka, they're reviving again, which is a good sign.
Yes, but Sri Lanka's success came in Test cricket. Their one-day struggles have been well documented. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
this is a there's no Sangakkara, there's no Jayawardene, there's no Dilshan, there's no Malinga's still around, but it's not the Sri Lankan team that has played the 2003, 2007, 2011, or
yeah.
2015 World Cup. It will be a huge surprise if they make the semi-finals.
Yeah, Sri Lanka will definitely the underdogs. We'll expect them to make it. They did beat England in one of the games though. But yeah, England, we know that they're
But
just a treacherous team.
in the Champions Trophy, Sri Lanka, they weren't that far away from making it to the semi-finals. They beat India.
Yeah. They narrowly lost against Pakistan.
Yes, and if Safraz was caught in mid-on by Tisara Pereira, it would have been a very different story for Pakistan in that tournament. They would have been out.
No doubt. Even I remember Azhar Ali was dropped at the start as well.
Yes, he was dropped on noted point, wasn't he?
Yeah, Pakistan had a lot of luck. As I said, Ramadan fan, even 92 in the final, I think one Imran or Javed was dropped as well. But ouch.
Yes, and Javed Miandal was plum LBW early in his innings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Javed Midat ka ek aur bhi for that also said that he was even sick. He was not feeling well that day.
Yeah, if we had DRS, and in that 1992 tournament as well, Pakistan were very lucky to make it through to the semi-finals.
Yeah, actually get emotional when I think about that. Basically, it's because that your captain, well, and why I said Imran was a great leader, because he had the belief. The team had that belief. The captain had the belief that we're going to win this World Cup.
But it
It was
wasn't.
like, look, if you notice both the Champions Trophy and '92 World Cup, the Pakistan improved, and because they it looked like they were had a positive mindset, and it looked like they were on a mission. Basically, that is where they became
Yes,
lethal, because
but
they were pretty motivated.
you can never win the World Cup purely by luck. But if there is one team that has been lucky to win the World Cup in terms of how they have played, it has to be Pakistan in 1992, in terms of having
Yeah,
a very lucky campaign to get through to the semi-finals. And even in the
even
semi-final,
championship.
even in the semi-final in 1992, Pakistan were out of the were on the losing side of the game for most parts. Before Inzamam played an innings of a lifetime.
Yeah. Even in Champions Trophy 17, who would have thought that a number 8 team could go on and win the tournament? People were laughing, basically, if you would have said.
I don't think it was a big surprise after they had beaten England in the semi-final that they beat India in the final, because India weren't challenged in that tournament going into the final,
Yeah.
and Pakistan were more up for it because India had already won the Champions Trophy 4 years previously in the same country, whereas for Pakistan to win
Yeah.
it would have been a bigger deal. So I wasn't overly surprised by the result in the final after what happened in the semi-final. You understand? Like, because Pakistan were coming off a victory against England, the standout team in the tournament, the pre-tournament favourites. Whereas India, they just
Yeah.
beat Bangladesh in the semi-final. So
Yeah.
Pakistan's preparation for the final was better in terms of
Yeah,
their
yeah.
run to the final.
Even nobody thought that Bangladesh would also be reaching the semi-final. No one would have thought that.
Yes,
And
but
Pakistan,
again,
I believe, once they beat England, they became motivated and had that belief that we could. And also, they said that Shoaib Malik gave a speech which also motivated the team, something like that. And the
uh,
team's fortunes changed basically the way we played.
Shoaib Malik's captaincy record in the PSL is pretty ordinary.
Yeah, horrible, horrible. Like
Karachi
he's made
Kings,
blunders.
Karachi Kings in year one, poor. They finished fourth.
Yeah.
And then last year, Multan Sultans, again, they couldn't get out of the group. They couldn't make it to the playoffs. And again, this year, Multan Sultans again up against it.
Yeah, I think maybe captaincy blunders, those kind of things played a big impact. The team balance is not in the right combo. Even we saw that Andre Russell did not do well in this PSL with the bat. He got hit with the ball. He had a pretty poor season.
And he's back in the West Indies squad, but he didn't
Yeah,
play.
and they didn't even play him. Even Nicholas Puran did not play for the Multans. Kai Samad did not play.
I have got tickets for Afghanistan versus Bangladesh at the World Cup.
Wow, no one
I think it will be
thought
a.
that you would get tickets for a match which probably against teams compared lacking quality compared to
I think you're incorrect. I think it's going to be an evenly matched contest between two entertaining
yeah,
teams
yeah,
to watch.
yeah. Now they're improving, and Afghanistan has beaten Bangladesh in the recent times a lot.
Yes, they beat Afghanistan, have knocked over Bangladesh a couple of times in the Asia Cup. They've
Yeah,
got the
I don't
better
know
of them in
why
the
I
Asia
think
Cup.
Bangladesh is having a chance to win, because in these conditions Afghanistan might not be that deadly. As I said, that UAE spinners tend to dominate, and they played a lot of UAE Afghanistan. Spin friendly conditions they become lethal. But if there's good batting strips, I believe that
No, no,
Rashid Khan will be expensive.
I think mystery spin, spinners who can send it both ways, they will always find a way of being successful and effective in short format cricket, regardless of where you're playing. You know,
Yeah,
mystery
yeah.
spinners, spinners with that extra X factor about them, the likes of Mujib and Rashid Khan, play bowlers
Yeah,
with
yeah.
lots of variation and mystery.
And also one impact. If you see an example, right, Yasir Shah did well in Test cricket, but he was poor in T20s. Basically, the important thing you must have knowledge as well, scientific, that every format you have to adjust the length. So you have to bowl at a different length with different variation for every format. Like if you see that Yasir Shah was bowling half breakers, they would have done well in Test matches, but in T20s you will get hit away. Basically, every format has a different length and a mindset. That's also
Yeah,
important to be effective.
In Test cricket, you need to be more patient. You need to bowl line and length. But in
I
T20
think
cricket,
जैसे वो कहते हैं that in Urdu आगे ball करो in Test cricket, but you need to go bowl a bit flatter. I think in T20s.
I think in ODI cricket, in T20 cricket, when white ball cricket, basically, when batsmen are coming at you, you've got to have different variations, so they can't
Yeah,
hit you as easily, they can't score off you easily. When batsmen are
yeah,
looking to be aggressive, when they're looking to put you under pressure, you need to have these different tricks up your sleeve. It's not about line and length and just nagging away
yeah.
and plugging away in a right spot. It's about you know,
If you see,
it's about having
Shadab
that
Khan,
mystery
like
element to
Yasir
your
Shah
bowling.
struggle, Shadab Khan struggle in Test matches, Yasir Shah struggle in one days and T20s because of not able to adjust.
But in the modern age,
And
we are seeing spinners who attack the stumps and can send the ball both ways, particularly mainly leg spinners who can bowl those
yeah,
sliders, googlies, and leg breaks. They're having a lot of
yeah.
success. We
I think
obviously
Lamachani had a pretty good googly, and also Fawad Ahmad, like the why they were successful. I think they bowled it slower and they gave the ball a lot of flight. And I think Shadab tried to bowl a bit quicker. And also the fact that he got hit. You have to adjust your length and
yes,
variations. I agree is important.
we're seeing
Adjusting
a
the pace.
we're seeing a real resurgence in wrist spin bowling, particularly in short format cricket, since the ICC have clamped down on illegal actions with off spinners who can bowl the doosra.
Yeah. I believe that off spin is dying because in Dusras you have that 15-degree limit. It becomes difficult to bowl. So you're not seeing that many off spinners nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Nathan Lyon is world class in Test cricket. Moeen Ali is a very handy bowler in Test cricket,
All rounder. Yeah.
but bowler in particular in Test cricket.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in ODI cricket, a conventional off spinner who's been successful, I think Mohammad Nabi is one who comes to mind. He hasn't got a
Yeah.
doosra or anything, has he? He's just got an arm ball and an off break. Very accurate. Bowls well to
Yeah.
left
Mujibur
handers.
Rahman
Bowls
is
with a
doing
new
well.
ball.
He's a man.
Sorry?
But he's more of a leg spinner.
Who?
Mujib is a leg spinner.
Yes,
You
yes.
know.
I'm talking about a conventional off spinner. Someone who
Yeah.
just bowls off breaks or maybe an arm ball. Ashley Nurse is another who comes to mind.
Yeah.
Nathan Lyon, but I don't is in the Australian ODI squad, but I don't rate him as an ODI bowler.
Yeah. He's not done that well, and he's more of a good test bowler. He's known for his success in test cricket, not even in limited overs.
So I'm looking forward to that match between Afghanistan and Bangladesh because both teams have a good chance of winning it. It should be a good contest.
Yeah. It's
Both
a
are
good call.
both are good teams to watch in terms of the way they play their cricket.
I think Afghanistan and West Indies also would be a good game. Afghanistan can beat West Indies as well. They did in World T20. Remember? West Indies.
And they beat them in the qualifiers 3 times in the warm-up match, the league stage, and the final.
Yeah, even Afghanistan in the World T20, yeah, although West Indies could have won that game, they did not get many runs. Afghanistan, even in the World T20, almost beat England. I remember.
Yes, you're very correct. They had England under pressure, didn't they?
And I think also in that game, one LBW call or something like that went against Afghanistan, which impacted the result.
But one thing Afghanistan must do is they need to improve their fast bowling stocks. The fast bowlers
Yeah,
were totally ineffective in the Asia Cup. In English conditions, they need a huge improvement in their fast bowling, and Shapur Zadran has to be in the team.
Shapur, where is Hamid Hassan, Shapur, Daulat, all of these guys?
I heard Hamid Hassan commentating in the Afghanistan Premier League. Has he packed up?
I think they call Hamid Hassan Afghanistan legend.
Has he packed up? Is he
Considering his
still
bowling.
playing? Is he still active?
Yeah,
Is he still active? Is he still playing? Is he still
no, I
available
don't
for
think.
selection?
I've not heard of him. I heard that Daulat Zadan and Shapur Zadan were injured. I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but the likes of Aftab Alam, Gulbadan Naib, they're not going to cause too many headaches for batting teams.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fact. They're more dependent on the spin bowling. Even their batting become vulnerable.
Yes,
They-
but it,
I think they're too dependent on their bowling.
but in English conditions you
Batting,
need
they have that Mohammed guy.
you. But in English conditions you need some quality in seam and or some genuine pace. Afghanistan
Yeah,
need to have some good selections in their fast bowlers to back up their wonderful
they're doing.
spinners.
Yeah, West Indies more, you're right, will be a team to watch. They could surprise three teams. And now that they beat England, they have a chance that they could even beat England in England. Let's beat them here.
I think what I think
Historically, I
I,
think
I
teams, I think West Indies, they step up, put their A game above. They raise their game a lot against England. I don't know. considering the
Yes,
history,
and
basically.
they raise their
They have a
game,
big England,
and
from
they
what I've seen.
tend to raise their game at world events, world tournaments, when
Yeah,
all their players are
mostly it's
available.
because hate England because of the past histories, basically. As I said, racism and those kind of things. They have a dislike for England. Every team likes to beat England. That's a fact.
Uh, I think the West Indies will really be targeting that Pakistan game on the 31st of May at Trent Bridge.
It'll be a cracking game, I believe. But you never know.
I think
West Indies bowling could be hit away as well. My
for
friend was also discussing with me that
for
West
West
Indies
Indies
bowling
to
is not that strong.
for West
That
Indies
their
to have a
batting is.
chance, in the tournament, they must beat Pakistan before they play the other teams.
Yeah,
If they can
but
get off to a
also,
winning start against Pakistan before they play the likes of uh, India, England, Australia, South Africa, that will help their cause. The Pakistan
but
game is
as
the
a
game they should
Pakistan
win.
game, you would want that West Pakistan improves their record against the West Indies in the World Cup.
Yeah.
I'd say that better team should win, but it'll be a cracking game. I don't think that Pakistan would allow, if West Indies would roll over Pakistan as that. It'll be a good cracking game. I believe for Pakistan to win, it depends how their batting does. The bowling could save them, their batting needs to be good.
But the game of the tournament will be England versus India at Edgbaston. The top two teams
Oh,
going head to head.
not India versus Pakistan?
In terms of quality of cricket.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
you're right.
in
It'll
India,
be a cracking
Pakistan,
game.
can you please explain why you think India, Pakistan, as far as the cricket is concerned, you think it's the biggest game of the tournament? I think there's a big gulf between the two teams.
I think name-wise, it's a big tournament game, like people consider rivalries and
Yes,
those things. Yeah,
it's a big
quality-wise,
occasion. It's a
definitely
big
India is
occasion.
superior to Pakistan.
It's
But you
a.
never know that Pakistan still, I would say that on their day they could beat any team. That's
Uh,
a still fact.
I think it's asking a lot for Pakistan to beat such an outstanding Indian team, particularly at Manchester.
Yeah, with bounce. I believe in Oval they could beat India.
Yes, but the
They'll
match is not happening. If it was happening at Lord's or Oval, Pakistan perhaps had a better chance of competing or even winning. But in Manchester, you would expect India to walk all over Pakistan,
I
like
don't
they
so
did
much
in
so. You
Dubai.
see, I think Pakistan comes under too much pressure against India, that mental block. They don't not able to play the same way they play against other teams.
But India, they're an outstanding team. I mean, the fast bowlers, Bumrah, Bhuvaneshwar, and then the wrist spinners, Kuldeep and Chahal. They have a lot of quality both in pace and spin.
Their batting is also the top order is heavy. The more dependent on the top order than the
Yes.
middle order.
But they have four all-time greats of ODI cricket in their batting lineup. Four players who've really made their mark in world tournaments. Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni. Four all-time greats of the white ball game.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Right. And although those four bowlers I mentioned, Bhuvaneshwar, Bumrah, Kuldeep, and Chahal, they're the four main bowlers. They have lots of good backup options. They have Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Shami waiting in the wings for the fast bowlers, and for the spinners, Ravi Jadeja, Ravi Ashwin. So they have a
Yes.
lot of depth in their bowling stocks.
Yeah.
And some people say India are favourites even more so than England because they have better bowling than England, India. And they're more
India, I think,
you
have a better all-round team. England has a firepower with their batting.
and India's team is more used to winning semi-finals and finals. They won, they won the Champions Trophy 2013. They won the World Cup in 2011. The likes of
Yeah.
Dhoni and Kohli was part of those teams.
Yeah, but they'll have one bad game, and then they would hope that it comes in the group stages, not in the semis, like they did before.
New
But
Zealand,
yeah, England can beat them as well. England was the only team who beat them in an ODI series recently.
New Zealand and South Africa have never won the World Cup, but they're two strong teams, two proud sporting nations, two teams who are consistent at least reaching the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the match between New Zealand and South Africa.
It's been a while since they played against each other as well.
If you remember, the last time they met in the World Cup in the semi-final, it was a cracker at Eden Park.
Grant Elliott.
Yes.
South Africa was winning that game.
And if you remember, they also met in the 2011 tournament in the quarterfinals. and
Yeah, South
New
Africa
Zealand.
lost. South Africa towards the knockout stages succumbed under pressure.
So I'm looking forward to that game between two evenly matched teams and two teams who are determined to earn their first title.
Yeah,
And conditions
same here.
should suit both teams, New Zealand and South Africa. In England they'll fancy their chances with their pace attacks.
Yeah,
I think New Zealand have an outstanding pace bowling attack. Saudi and Bolt, they were instrumental in 2015 World Cup, and I suspect they will raise their game for the 2019 tournament in English conditions with two new white balls. They will be a handful.
yeah.
And they're backed up by the pace of Ferguson, who's very aggressive, very fast.
Oh, the way he bowled against Pakistan, he gave them a tough time. With the short pitch stuff. Even Adam Milne scored.
Yes, Matt Henry as well. And the spin, I mean, Stanton is a handy cricketer, useful bowler, but Sodhi's the one who's got mystery.
So the Santana back. They have a decent team.
Yeah,
Even in the batting,
I
they
will.
have Cup, Williamson,
Taylor.
Josh Taylor.
Um, who's the other one? Maybe Munro at the top of the order.
Yeah, one was not done well in the PSL this
Colin de Gronholm, the new Shahid Afridi, as far as his batting is concerned, he's very much like Shahid Afridi as a batsman. Just goes for
Yeah,
it.
but he's not that good as being not that great as an all-rounder.
But he's got some experience in county cricket in England that will come in handy. I would like to see Jeetan Patel part of the team. He's a very canny bowler. He's done very well in county cricket. Jeetan Patel.
Yeah, I heard his name.
Yeah. He's Australia. They're really struggling in the one-day format in particular. For a good 2 years, they've been on a losing streak in one-day format, even though they're defending champions. But it will be a surprise if they lift the title again this time. Even though they've been so successful in this competition, more than any other country, with 5 titles to their
I
credit.
don't want them to win again either. We need to defend champions.
But still, that bowling attack, Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins,
Yeah.
with Smith and Warner
Stark
back
is
in the fold.
overrated at the moment. That was a
Smith and Warner back in the fold.
yeah. That'll make Australia a pretty good team. Even they should bring Faulkner and Coulton out of that. Faulkner and Coulton.
Chris Lynn, they don't play him in the 50-over format, do they?
I think Christian's more success has come in the T20s, right? Not more for specialist T20s there.
Yes. But Stark has
Australia have Sean Marsh.
Stark hasn't played a lot of ODI cricket of late.
Stark, throughout his career, has been injured quite a lot of times.
But it's not easy just to turn up to big tournaments and perform if you haven't been bowling with the white ball regularly.
Yeah.
Are you okay? You like muffling is happening a little bit.
Muffling?
Yes, are you moving things or something?
Actually, I'm starting to get a tad sleepy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have
Actually,
England,
yeah.
India, New Zealand, and Pakistan making the last 4.
Yeah.
I have England, India, New Zealand, and South Africa making the last 4.
Yeah.
So
I remember that.
And I have Australia finishing 5th and West Indies finishing 6th.
Yeah.
And that leaves us with the 4 Asian teams from 7 to 10: Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And you predicted that Bumrah will be player of the tournament, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you remember who I predicted?
I'm forgetting.
Joss Butler.
Oh, yeah. He can be pretty good. Josh Butler is in good form. He scored a pretty good, a quick 150.
Yes, he's the X factor player as far as England is concerned.
I think he's the best hitter in world cricket as well, best keeper batsman now.
In England,
England, yeah,
in England,
if they think clicks on their day, they are deadly. Seriously, Morgan, Root, Hales, Roy,
as you know, cricket, as you know,
Stokes.
cricket in England is not that popular. But
Yeah,
I think
soccer active
yes,
is the top sport.
football and rugby are predominantly the main sports. But this year there's no major football tournament. There's no World Cup or European Championship, and this is a huge opportunity for English cricket this summer to inspire a generation and transform the popularity of the game in this country.
Yeah,
And winning will
England.
certainly help. Winning will certainly help, but more so than winning, I think it's about having a good campaign. It's about opportunity. It's about legacy. It's about raising the profile of cricket in this country.
Yeah, definitely. Them winning the World Cup is good for world cricket in England. That's what inspiring cricket. You're right. Like '92 World Cup transformed Pakistan as well.
But the difference in England is there's so many other sports that cricket takes a back seat. So this is a real
Yeah,
opportunity for England hosting the World Cup after such a long time to really raise the profile of the game and show everything that is good about the sport to the wider community. It's a real
yeah,
opportunity to show the power of cricket and the good things about cricket. It should be a
yeah.
real showpiece event in England this summer.
You're right.
One concern I do have about England is that the World Cup final is on 14th of July at Lords. It should be in Humdinger. But on 1st of August, the Ashes series starts. And for English fans, traditionally, the Ashes has meant more than the World Cup.
Yeah,
Even now, if you ask a large section of fans, they would put the Ashes ahead of the World Cup. So I'm just wondering whether England's full focus will be directed towards the World Cup, knowing there's a high-profile Test series that follows. Because generally in England, Test cricket and the Ashes is given priority as the highest form of cricket.
yeah.
So, any interesting questions you have before we can conclude?
Not yet.
Okay, let's change formats now. It's been very good for Test cricket that we've had lots of away series wins in recent times. We've had New Zealand going to the UAE and winning.
Yeah,
We've seen England win in Sri Lanka a Test series. We've seen India win a Test series in Australia for the first time. We've seen Sri Lanka win a Test series in South Africa for the first time. We've even seen Zimbabwe win a Test in Bangladesh. We've seen Pakistan draw a Test series in England. So we've had lots of interesting results and successful touring teams in Test cricket in the last year or so, particularly the last 6 months, which I think is good for the health of the Test game moving forward, particularly with a World Test Championship starting immediately after the 2019 World Cup.
yeah.
So, any thoughts?
No, no.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah, actually, it's good for yeah. I would like to say one thing that it's good for Test cricket. That basically, that away teams have started to do well, basically, and that home factor advantage basically has started reducing. It's good in the game, at the competition, and I believe that always away series wins are bigger than home
yes,
winning in alien conditions.
yes. Okay,
The
let's
best, I think, definitely was Sri Lanka compared to the others. Sri Lanka and India. And they said that Sri Lanka's win in the South Africa was bigger than India's win in Australia.
Yes, we talked about that because because you think South Africa is a better Test team at the moment than Australia, and
And mind you, Sri Lanka had injuries, and then Sri Lanka did not even
yeah,
have the good batsmen. Chandaman and Matthew were
yes,
not playing.
given the inexperience of the squad they had at their disposal to win in South Africa, even though it was a
Yeah,
fairly like a low-key series, it wasn't the main series in the South African summer. It was just two Test matches after the main event of Pakistan. Pakistan was the main event, you know. So
yeah,
perhaps some people will argue that India winning in Australia was bigger because it was the main event. It was a four-match Test series in the heart of the Australian summer over Boxing Day and New Year, whereas South.
yeah. Like we played against England, it was not a main event, and they because they had to play against India as well, a
Yes.
proper
It
series.
was sort of a
It was only
side.
two
It was
days.
sort of a side series in the main season, in the big season, in the
Yeah,
grand scheme of things.
yeah,
Okay. We're going to have 10 more minutes on this. I'm going to ask you, how do you assess Mickey Arthur's performance as Pakistan coach? Because test matches, we've lost 17 out of 28 test matches since he's been in charge. We've lost more test series than we've won. We've won
yeah,
four, we've lost five. We've lost 3-0 in South Africa. We lost 3-0 in Australia. We lost 2-0 in New Zealand. In England, we took the lead both times, 1-0 up, but then we
yeah,
followed it up with weak performances and were not able to win the series. And even in the UAE, we've conceded test series to Sri Lanka and New Zealand. Um,
yeah.
we lost a test match in the West Indies under his coaching. The test results have been very inconsistent. Um,
Uh,
you can argue in his favor that he's lost a few key players during his time and that he's
yeah,
had a tough schedule in terms of a lot of cricket in
yeah,
SENA countries.
yeah.
But my argument is if you're having an overseas coach and you're giving him this money, he hasn't produced any sort of results in Test cricket that a local coach wouldn't be able to produce.
Yeah.
So
Believe me, they
is
don't
it really
do
worth
that
it?
well for Karachi.
And then in ODI format, we haven't. Tell me when Pakistan last won an ODI series against a reputable opposition. England, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand. Obviously, they don't play India. They only really beaten Sri Lanka, West Indies, Zimbabwe, Ireland. They haven't beaten big teams in bilateral ODI series under his coaching. And the Champions Trophy win was an anomaly. It was like the odd one out in
Yeah.
terms of the
And he
results.
takes credit for that, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, his stress performances
And
in
and
Test
and one
will
more thing.
basically you'll have a
One
point.
more format.
And Sri Lanka series,
One more format. Akib. T20s.
yeah,
Obviously, he's number one in the world, but there hasn't been any World T20 since he's been
yeah,
coach.
yeah,
And in franchise cricket, because T20 is mainly designed for franchise cricket. In franchise cricket, with Karachi Kings, he's yet to make the PSL final in the three seasons, and this is his fourth. And even this year, it's not been overly impressive. Three wins out of seven. So overall, how do you assess his time as Pakistan coach? Tests, ODIs, T20s, and then franchise cricket.
yeah. It's been inconsistent performances, and I had about basically firstly, I'd say in T20s, I believe that the success has more been due to the players and more captains input basically. But they also say that I think in Test matches, if you come to the UAE, the reason for the loss was I think his stubbornness, not playing those two pacers and that two spinners basically. At times he was a bit harsh with the players as well, like what he did with Akmal. And um, I believe that having more of a say in the team, that yeah, you're right that his test performances have been inconsistent, and I believe that even though he got sacked by South Africa and Australia, but I think also there's a factor maybe lack of knowledge of the local players basically, and yeah, he also has lack of international cricket experience playing the game himself. That could also play an impact in the poor results, maybe.
What do you think about having separate coaches for the separate formats? Because
I believe that strategy has not been tried anywhere in the world, if I'm not wrong.
in England,
Yes, we've seen different captains being
it
tried, but I don't think separate coaching.
yes,
Maybe yes,
no,
I think
it has been
if they
tried
could
in
change the
England.
coach in test matches, maybe.
Yes, it has been tried in
Because
England.
what?
It's been tried in England before. There was a
when
separate
I
coach.
remember last when it happened.
No,
When it happened.
Andy Flower was the Test coach, and Ashley Giles was the ODI and T20 coach. But around
Yeah,
2013.
yeah. I think then they changed to one coach. Yes, now it's Trevor Bayliss, right?
That's correct. Yes, but
It's Trevor Bayliss, if I'm not wrong, the one
yes,
is the England
yes,
coach. And I
but
made a guess.
but
Maybe we should remove him in the Test matches, and we'll
yes,
probably stick
I
him with the
Mickey
England.
Arthur does not deserve to continue as the head coach of Pakistan in Test cricket. I mean,
Yeah,
he had so much
he's
knowledge. He had so much knowledge of South African and Australian conditions, but still we lost 3-0 in both countries.
yeah. Maybe his selection blunders also cost us a stubbornness. Maybe I believe that's a
Basically,
fact.
he's there, he's earning highly, and he's not making a difference as far as the result is concerned.
Yeah,
Culturally, he's changing things. Particularly with emphasis on fielding and fitness and work ethic. But ultimately, it's a results business, and he's not
team performances
delivering.
has been down. Even in him not do I don't think that well for the South African and Australians. Basically, they ended up sacking him as well.